Hello everyone, I'm delighted to see you again for this fifth Sophroflash video. Today I'm going to tell you about letting go. Of course, on such short video, it will only be about beginning to work on the subject. We are often advised to let go, but let go of what? Before we let go something, maybe we need to know what we actually hold on to. Letting go of what affects us, what drains a lot of energy for hardly nothing. That is, not worrying about things we cannot change. Indeed, if we cannot change something or other, why get all worked up about it? And yet, most of us are wired in a way that makes us fret about some stuff in our life, only to realize later on it was really not worth worrying about. In my approach of sophrology, letting go is for me a direct consequence of regular practice, a kind of immediate benefit to the practice of exercises, such as those we made in the video number 3. They are, for me, completely linked to the development of self-confidence, which I could summarize as follows. If we have confidence in ourselves, we are aware to know to our own abilities and resources, which allows us, in the face of external events, to know that we are capable of surviving it. It allows us to step back and not be overwhelmed by something that can stop us. So, I suggest you to let go of letting go and instead take care of yourself. It is the most important thing in life. Offer yourself some rituals that help you feeling good, whether it's sophrology, meditation, music, sports, cooking, or anything else. Take the time to practice, to make yourself happy. Remember, pleasurable equals well-being. It's a physiological fact. It's about activating all the hormones we could name well-being hormones, such as oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, endorphins. Those hormones that enable us to activate in the body a virtuous cycle that gives us energy and a beautiful energy of life. Today, I offer you two small practices, one we call shoulder pumping, and another which merely consists in listening to a tale I will read out to you that I'm very fond of. For the pumping of the shoulders, you will need to be standing or sitting back straight. For the tail, you may be sitting, possibly laying down, although be aware that there is a risk of falling asleep if you're laying down, and it would be a shame not to hear it right to the end. Here we go. So you can sit or stand. If you are standing, preferably barefoot and flat on the floor. If you are sitting, your back is straight, slightly off the back, and your knees are 90 degrees, and your feet are flat on the floor as well. We will practice this exercise with the same type of breathing sequence as other exercises seen together, either breath in, air retention for a few moments, and breathe out. I'll show it to you once, then you can practice it with me 3 times. We start by exhaling to empty our lungs of all the air they contain. Then breathe in. Air retention, we squeeze our fists and pump our shoulders like this at our own pace and magnitude. It can be slow or fast. Breathe out, we release our hands and lower our shoulders. If your shoulders or neck are sore, just imagine that you are doing this movement. The brain doesn't make any difference between what is real and what we imagine. We start by exhaling to empty our lungs of all the air they contain. Then breathe in. Air retention, we squeeze our fists and pump our shoulders at our own pace and magneted. Breathe out, and we release our hands and lower our shoulders. And for a few moments we welcome our feelings, our automatic thoughts perhaps. And then a second time, we begin by breathing out. Then breathe in. Air retention, we squeeze our fists and bump our shoulders at our own pace and magneted. Breathe out. We release our hands and lower our shoulders. And we welcome for a few moments everything that emerges. And then a third time, we begin by breathing out. Breathe in. Air retention, we squeeze our fists and pump our shoulders at our own pace and magneted. And when it's the good moment for us, we breathe out and release our hands and lower our shoulders. We welcome for a few moments all the phenomena, our sensations, our thoughts, images perhaps. And now I invite you to listen to the reading of the tale called The Old Man and His Son. Once upon a time there were an old man and his son who lived together in the height of a mountain. Although very poor, they had a treasure, a magnificent white horse. No one had ever seen a horse of such splendor, such endurance, and such strength. The horizon gave a wonderful view with a feeling of serenity emanating from this place of nature. At the bottom of this mountain lay a village, but the old man and his son preferred to stay on the height of the mountain. Many people had offered the man to buy his horse at fabulous prices, but the old man always refused. "For me, it's more than a horse," he told them. "He's like a friend. How am I supposed to sell a friend?" One morning, when he awoke, the old man realized that his wonderful horse was no longer in the stable. All the people of the village came to see him when they heard the news. "How awful! How will you farm your land? What will you eat? What a disaster!" After quietly listening to them, the old man replied, "All I know is that the stable is empty and the horse is gone. It's all I know. Whether it's a curse or a blessing, I can't say. All we can see is a fragment of a truth that is beyond us. Who can predict what will follow?" He added, "Wait and see." Then he thanked them for their visit and returned to what he was doing. After 2 weeks, the horse came back. It had not been stolen. He had fled into the forest. Not only had he returned, but he had brought with him a dozen wild horses. The people of the village went up to them this time to say, "What a blessing! You will never starve, and even have a much more comfortable daily life. And everyone added what these providential horses could bring them. The old man had a son, an only son. The young man began to train the white horses. After a few days, he fell off one of the horses and broke both legs. Once again, the villagers went out to meet them, shouting, "What misfortune! Your son will know such hardships, poor man!" And each predicted the worst difficulties. The old man spoke again. "Just say, my son broke both his legs. Who knows if it's a blessing or a curse? Nobody knows. We only have access to a piece of the truth." Then the old man said to them, "Wait and see." He thanked them for their visit and returned to what he was doing. A few days later, the country engaged in a war against a neighboring country. All the young men of the village were requisitioned to join the army. Only the son of the old man remained at his home, for he was wounded. Once again, the villagers gathered around the old man, crying and shouting because their sons were gone. They were unlikely to return. The enemy was strong, and this war would be a lost battle. The inhabitants of the village told them how lucky they were to get together, to stay together, imagining everything they would escape from. The old man spoke to them again. "It is impossible to know. No one knows. Just say this. Your sons had to go to war, and mine didn't. Nobody knows if it's a blessing or a curse." Then the old man said to them, "Wait and see." He thanked them for their visit and returned to what he was doing. Thus lived the old man and his son on the heights of a mountain. We welcome for a few moments the reading of this tale and all that it brings out in us. Then on several more breaths, we can incorporate into our body all the benefits of this session, of this reading, all the positive it can bring us for today and the days to come. Then quietly, at our own pace, we can quietly leave the session, gently reconnect with our body's support points where you are installed. Slowly begin to remobilize your limbs. Take the time to stretch out, to yawn. And then when it's time for us, we can then open our eyes. So, about this session, I would like to tell you, to invite you to listen to what surrounds you, to try as much as possible to get away from judgments, prejudices, hasty conclusions, to be progressively closer to what is right for you, to trust yourselves, to trust your body, and to trust your feelings. It's very important. And indulge as often as possible. Have a good practice, have a good day, and see you soon.